Welcome to Stop the Fight, episode 29, and we are doing an immediate recap of the Valdez fight and the upcoming fights of the weekend. Let's go!
Don't brag about taking my side piece! Don't brag about taking my side piece, though!
I broke my back. Back is broken. Spinal.
He's strong, man. Good boy. Just.
Oscar Valdez just got the unanimous decision victory over Robinson Conceicao. What'd you guys think? Tell you what I thought. I thought Valdez, with all the steroid stuff, with everything happening, I know he's been saying he's had a tough week, but he looked vulnerable in there tonight. That did not look like a fighter that's going to beat Shakur Stevenson. Sorry, guys. He's not going to beat Shakur Stevenson. I actually had Valdez losing this fight. I thought Conceicao did enough to win, even with the point deduction. I think I had it 114, 113. 7 rounds to 5 for Robinson Conceicao. I thought he swept the first. I actually had a 5-0. I know the people are saying, oh, he won that 4th round because the Valdez won the 4th round because of that one right hand. I don't think that did enough to win the round, tell you the truth. He did, Valdez, take most of the middle rounds, but I had thought that after round 5 it was 5-0 on my cards. I guess I can see it 4-1, but guys, it was. I mean, he lost the majority of those early rounds. It can't be any wider than 4-1. I mean, any closer than 4-1 in those first 5 rounds. It just can't. Like, I don't know what you're scoring. I mean, I'm listening to Andre Ward and Tom Brady. Timothy Bradley speak. Not Tom Brady. Bradley speak, and I think they were giving Valdez credit for doing absolutely nothing. I think they themselves were smelling a little bit of that hometown barbecue. That hometown cooking. Because I'm watching the fight, and guys, it for the first half of the fight, it's not particularly close. And even throughout the whole fight, I think Conceicao outlands him like almost 2-1. Look at their faces. I mean, I know this isn't like, oh, the guy who the worst face got beat up or lost the fight. But I think in this fight, I thought Valdez actually lost this fight. Now, of course, he's had a long week and blah, 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 but he popped twice. Popped in both samples, Popped hot. From amphetamines. Those are performance enhancers, guys. Hitler was on him. No, seriously. Those are performance enhancers. So, it's like, I'm having a rough week, Valdez is saying. I mean, you kind of put yourself in that position, or you allowed yourself to be put in that position by having both your samples be, by pissing hot, essentially. So, I mean, let's talk about the actual fight. Now, Valdez could not get past that jab. I don't know how many jabs he took in this fight, but he was getting hit with many jabs consistently. And eventually, those jabs were followed by straight right hands by Conceicao. And eventually, I think in the 11th round, which Conceicao also won, just that right there, 6-6. Now, obviously, there was that point deduction, which is a round I actually thought Conceicao won as well. I forgot that was a 10th round, maybe 9th round. Whichever it was. I thought Conceicao won that round as well, so I scored a 9-9. But, he, even in the 11th round, you even saw it with their straight right hands coming through, they opened a cut on the cheek of Valdez. And I'm not saying this fight was particularly wide in favor of Conceicao. I thought it was a close fight that I thought Conceicao won. I don't really have a problem with Valdez winning the fight. I thought that 117 scorecard, though, 117, 110 scorecard was way too wide. I just can't. He won at least for the first 5 rounds. I don't know what anyone is scoring, but getting, running into jabs and landing one or two punches in the first 5, 6 in the first 5 rounds, punches around is not enough to win that round. I'm sorry. Even round 4, where he lands the one good shot, that's not enough. He didn't do anything else that entire round, which is why I had a 5-0 after 5. Now, What Conceicao wound up doing, why I think it cost him the fight, I think Valdez is a very high-skilled fighter, and he was able to keep the pressure up. I don't think Conceicao, for all 12 rounds, was able to really keep keep Valdez at bay the way he wanted to. I thought a couple of points. Conceicao was hurt and stung by Valdez. Valdez's power is very much legit, but I do think he lost this fight. But let's say he did win this fight. I mean, officially he won this fight, obviously. I don't see how he beats Shakur Stevenson. I don't see it. Now, what we may talk about with Shakur Stevenson is that Shakur, I think, has less power than Conceicao. I think he really does, and he's going to have to rely on a much superior movement, which I think he'll be able to generate that, honestly. He's a bigger guy. He's young. He's 24, so he's still getting some of his man strength. He's a bigger guy than Valdez. What's his name? Stevenson is 5'7", and Valdez is 5'5.5". So the size difference is going to be not as stark as it was here, but there is going to be a little bit of a size difference. Although I don't really think it matters all that much, as Valdez likes to fight low. If you notice, Valdez really gives up than his non-existing height, which actually helps him to land those left hooks because he comes in from so low a lot of the times that that hook, he's able to come in, like sneak in under you and land that hook. He did it a couple of times against Conceicao, and I thought, like I said, he did hurt him a few times in the fight. I don't know if they were all left hooks. I think there was a right hand that may have hurt him. Yeah, I mean, obviously, okay, let me talk about that point deduction, guys. That was horrendous. As a matter of fact, I thought the ref did a horrible job the entire time. He was not only favoring Valdez, especially with the point deduction, and during the holds, there was numerous times where he got in between both fighters during the exchange, which is like uncanny to see at this high of a level, at a world championship level. I don't think this ref should be refereeing another high-level boxing fight. I just thought with the point deduction, with the fact that there were numerous times that he got in between the fighters, and not when they were clinching, is reason enough for him not to judge a high-level fight again. So like I said, against Stevenson, who is a southpaw, I think Valdez is in a world of trouble. If it's this Valdez that shows up, I think he's in a world of trouble. And I don't know what he does to improve, because the problem with the kind of fight that he had against Conceicao was that he let through jabs. Like, his weakness wasn't that he was chinny or he got caught or something like that. Like you saw with Joshua. Let's use Joshua as an example. He got caught, he got clipped, and he went down. That's a little bit different than what we saw here. Because if a fighter gets, like, this is boxing, you can get caught in an exchange, and that's it. You can make adjustments there to avoid those exchanges, which is what Joshua did in the second Ruiz fight. But over here, Oscar Valdez had a problem with a guy who can throw very straight punches. And Conceicao was able to throw straight punches the entire night. Like I said, just look at the face. In the 11th round, a straight right hand opens up the cut on Valdez's on his cheek. Shakur Stevenson knows how to throw very straight punches as well, this time from a southpaw angle. I think Valdez may have an even bigger issue here. But, because Shakur Stevenson is a southpaw, it also means that he may be more susceptible to the left hook, which is why this fight is going to be intriguing. Obviously, guys, it sounds like I am writing off Jamal Herring, and I actually like Jamal Herring a lot, but I believe Shakur Stevenson is just a little bit higher caliber, higher level fighter than Jamal Herring is. So I don't want to. It's not that I'm writing him off necessarily. It's that Shakur Stevenson has a very high zenith, a very high peak in terms of his boxing abilities. So I believe that in the future, Valdez in a hurry needs to figure out how to deal with jabs. He needs to, in a hurry, figure that out because, yes, he knocked out Berchelt. Berchelt was just kind of standing there, lumbering wide shots. Shakur Stevenson doesn't fight that. Shakur Stevenson fights in such boring style, but good for winning, right? Obviously, those shots are going to be short and long, short as in, like, these aren't going to be looping shots. Everything's coming straight, fast. He's going to have a hard time. I think Valdez is going to be walking into a jab for 12 rounds against Shakur Stevenson. I don't think Shakur can stop him, but I don't know how he deals with Shakur. Like I said, I do think he lost his fight, personally. I'm not upset with him winning, as I can see him winning. I did not, outside of the 4th round, I just wasn't giving him really any rounds. I mean, like, I the 4th round, I didn't give him anyway. But it just, the Oscar Valdez rounds in the middle were pretty clear. I just thought all the close rounds, like, Valdez just didn't land enough. Look at the fight by landed punches. It was something like 2-1 in favor of Conceicao. That's why I have the problem with the scorecards in that way. Is that he was being outlanded 2-1. Guys, that's a huge, huge margin. Anyway, let's talk about a fight that happened on the undercard of this. The Gabriel Flores Jr. versus Luis Alberto Lopez fight. Wow, guys. I don't want to, it's hard for me to say this, but Flores is his dad, as a matter of fact. His corner. I'll say his corner. No, it is his dad. It's his father. May have cost his son a career. That's the kind of beating, and you can tell around 4 and round 5 already. That's the kind of beating, the prolonged beating a fighter takes that, A, does irreparable damage long-term in a fighter's life, and B, can cut a career short. You had to have pulled, for sure, he had to have been pulled out on the 9th. For sure. Forget about the fact that he probably should have been pulled earlier than that. Probably in like the 7th. To save the career. This kid's 21 years old. His father living vicariously, what it seems like, through his kid, going, come on, bro, you got to show me more. Absurd. Absurd, absurd, absurd. The kind of beating Flores took, he didn't win a single round. The kind of beating that Flores, and he's got lucky he didn't get stopped. Him getting stopped in that 9th round will probably have been better for him than to come out for that 10th and take some more damage. This kind of beating is like, it's horrible for a young up-and-coming fighter, for a prospect. Forget about the fact that he's now a once defeated fighter. He was 20-0 with 7 knockouts going in. He, this loss by decision. The kid was obviously taking it really hard in the post-fight interview, and this loss is gonna stay with him. Luis Lopez is a pretty good fighter, a tough fighter, but a fighter that if his level caliber fighter does that to your prospect, then either one of two things: the prospect was severely undertrained or mistrained or whatever, or for this fight, or your prospect doesn't have it. But in this case, I think, Bradley was being harsh on Flores, but he was absolutely right. Absolutely right. He has some glaring holes, and his dad and the entire corner, there needs to be a complete change-up over there. This is unacceptable. This kid is going to get hurt. He already did get hurt. That kind of damage, he was in the post-fight, he's like, oh, I was fucking embarrassed, but I shouldn't have been. Well, he's a really 126-pounder. No. You were embarrassed because you should have been embarrassed. Because you kept pulling back with your hands down. You were getting hit with for a defensive fighter, you were getting hit with shots that were coming from, 360-degree angles, shots you had no business being hit with. And he's a young guy, Flores is. But you can't let a young guy take this kind of damage. I was starting to worry for the fighter's health by round 8. For sure. I was like, man, they really should just pull this kid. He's too young. He's talented. He's got to move. He looked weak. He looked soft in the body at 21. I know they were saying, oh, maybe you should go weightlift. And usually I'm against that, but he still has some baby fat on him. He's not a man yet. And Bradley was saying, Tim Bradley here was 100% right. Timothy Bradley was 100% right. 100% right. This looked like a man versus a boy. And this boy got beat. And he got beat so bad this boy may never be the same. And his father is to blame. And the ref also did a horrible job. He has to have more awareness. That fight, there's a corner yelling at you to stop the fight. You need to stop that fight. I don't care if there's 10, 15, or 1 second left in the fight. It doesn't matter. You don't know the kind of damage another punch can do. We don't know what punch killed Max Valdez 2 years ago on ESPN. We don't know what was the punch that finally did it. But I'm sure there was that one punch that finally did it. It may have not been the last punch he took, but it was a punch he took. Okay? And you have to have more awareness. The kid did not look like he was there. at the end of round 9. He had no business coming out for round 10. None. This isn't, and like I think Bradley was saying, this isn't a championship fight. This isn't a fight that makes or breaks a career. Well, now he may have broken one, but winning this fight does nothing for him. He beats a low-ranked contender. Lopez, hey, nothing. I don't want to take anything away from Lopez. Lopez did a great job beating the up-and-comer by pressuring him down. That's what he's supposed to do. It's Flores' corner that's supposed to know when their fighter is in over their head. For whatever reason, he doesn't have it tonight. Maybe he'll never have it, or maybe it's just a bad camp or whatever, couldn't make the weight, whatever it is. Whatever it is, you need to worry about your fight. You know, Buddy McGirt, they kept mentioning Buddy McGirt in the Conceicao fight. But Buddy McGirt would have absolutely pulled his fighter out. I know a lot of fighters don't like Buddy for that reason, but he would have pulled his fighter out. He would have saved his fighter, and his fighter would have thanked him in like 15, 20 years. Either A, because he still has a career, or B, because he's not slurring his words. Those last 3 rounds of this fight, if Flores is slurring in his late 30s, early 40s, 50s, this is why. You can look back at a fight like this, a fight he wasn't winning any rounds. It was apparent, painfully apparent, that after 7 rounds, you should pull him. He has no chance. He doesn't have the power. And this is what I keep telling you guys about power punchers or guys without power. The other guy eventually just walks through you. Doesn't matter how many shots. You have to be on your A game the entire damn time. It's the same thing I was saying about the Josh Warrington fight. They got unfortunately canceled last week. Got canceled. The cut opened up. Once a puncher knows he can walk you down, it's really, really a tough battle for the boxer. Once their power is no longer respected. You'll do well in the first few rounds, but then eventually it won't matter. You need pop. I'm sorry, but like Paulie Malignaggi did amazing for how feather-fisted he was. You know, they say he can crack an eggshell with his punches, maybe. But like this, you know, I don't know if Flores was that, but Lopez was completely unmarked. By the time you knew the fight was over, and this was by round 6 or 7, the fight was just done. Lopez looked like he was just warming up in his dressing room, not in a fight. These punches that Flores was landing on him had no effect. None whatsoever. At 130, there's no chance. Like I said, between 130 and 140 right now, these are like legacy-making divisions right now. No chance. He has no chance with this kind of power against the top guys. He has to box like Shakur Stevenson, but he doesn't seem to have anywhere near that ability. He has some ability, but not Shakur's ability. And Shakur's able to, you know, he's able to generate a little bit something. There's a few tricks, a few like things that Shakur does in the ring that I don't see Flores anywhere near that. Flores needs a completely different corner. You can't the father just, bro, you got to show me more. You got to show me more. You got to be the dog in the fight. Your son's life is on the line. Dog in the fight. Your son is not a puncher. What dog? You got to know when to pull your guy out, guys. Please, you have to know. This could have ended poorly and probably did end poorly for Flores' career. I want to see how he does next fight, but this kind of beating over 10 rounds, this wasn't even a 12-round fight. Over 10 rounds is really quite something. And you know, by the way, both these guys were underdogs. I know one of my friends wound up missing the Lopez bet as well. I mean, I wouldn't have. I wasn't betting this week. Just didn't have a chance to. But there were some tasty underdog victories overseas today as well. The undefeated Croatian guy was knocked out by the what was his name? Tony something, whatever. But yeah, we had a couple of upsets, right? This was a pretty big one. I think this one was a plus 600, if I'm not mistaken. That's 6 times your money, boys. You bet $100 on Lopez, you would have seen 600. You know me, I would have put beer money on maybe $20. Shit, I would have taken a bill home. Whatever. The whole point is, Flores, he found himself on the ropes often, very often. He couldn't keep this. He couldn't keep the smaller fighter in Lopez needed to continue to be turned by jabs and hooks and superior footwork. I saw none of that. I saw a lot of that like cutesy looking boxing, and he paid for that big time. Big time. So yeah, that's gonna do it for a wrap up here. But let's talk about this weekend, you know, because I obviously didn't do a post fight last weekend. with the Katie Taylor fight. It's like I said, you know, I'm always looking at the fighters that Katie fights, and Jennifer Hahn was. I didn't think she would beat her, but you always have to after watching Katie get tired the way she has those past few fights. You always kind of have to just kind of smell the underdog. You really do on her fight. She's now she's now over 35. You just have to. Now I did say it that I don't think Jennifer was the one to do it. Nonetheless, I still had a few, you know, a couple of dollars on her to see, and I'm gonna keep going that way. I don't think the Serrano fight happens. I think even Katie herself says that the politics just probably won't allow it. Again, so let's talk about some of the fights that are coming up this weekend because we got some fun ones. So Triller Triller's back. Last I saw Triller, they were putting on the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren fight with the rap in between, which I thought was cool. The concert, Justin Bieber, Doja Cat. I thought those were a lot of fun. Oscar De La Hoya got completely lit on the broadcast with the Frank Mir fight against Steve Cunningham. He kept calling USSR Cunningham. Made a little of an ass of himself, but I guess he was having a good time. So, you know, he himself was supposed to fight tonight against Vitor Belfort. And what wound up happening is, unfortunately, Oscar caught the COVID, and it looked like it was pretty bad. He had that video from the hospital. But since he has been discharged, meaning he's feeling better, he got through it. Congratulations to the rich guy who can afford the health care. I'm joking. I'm obviously happy that Oscar is feeling better. So, what do we got? So, we got Anderson Silva against Tito Ortiz. Now, Tito Ortiz couldn't make weight, but it doesn't really matter here. Anderson Silva has proven that he can actually box. After the kind of showing he had against Chavez Jr., he can beat a boxer. Tito Ortiz is not a boxer, and I expect a really one-sided fight here. But again, it's fun, and you know, like I said, I like this kind of stuff. I like these kind of freak. I don't want to say freak, but these truly like prize fighting, fun fights. I do like it. I think Anderson Silva and Tito Ortiz, like, look, these guys aren't going to go fight MMA anymore. They don't need to. They're not fighting high-level boxers. They're fighting each other, although, actually, you know, Chavez Jr. was actually a legit boxer. Unfortunately, even a world champ at 160. But Anderson Silva, you know, these guys aren't really going to hurt each other, at least I don't think. And I just think it's great for these guys to continue making money. They're legends in the MMA world. Anderson Silva has a claim maybe to be even the GOAT in the MMA world. So, again, after what he did to Chavez Jr., I'm always going to watch a Silva fight. And in the main event, you know, speaking of Oscar, I have to pull out, Evander, the real deal, Holyfield, is coming in to fight Belfort for us. So, for Oscar. And I think this is great. Personally, I know there were some people on Twitter saying, but like, how can you even let Evander fight? He's almost 60. Guys, he's not fighting a professional boxer. He's not fighting Joshua or Wilder or Fury. You know, he's in good shape. Let the guy fight. Let him make some money. And if this builds up the Tyson fight even more, excellent. We get that third fight we wanted to see. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I think Evander is going to win here. Not even because, you know, he's not fighting a boxer, guys. I think this has been proven now, even with Jake Paul's situation further magnified. Some of these MMA guys are not bad. They have some hands, and obviously Silva has some real hands. But you're not going to beat Evander Holyfield, not even at 60. I don't think so. I don't think so. Although one of my friends thinks otherwise. He thinks that, you know, Belfort's probably juiced out of his mind, and he may come in there and hurt the old man Holyfield. Again, maybe this whole thing ends in a little bit of a tragedy, maybe a little bit of a farce. Again, this is something we're going to find out. But, again, I'm going to have fun with it. Like I said, as long as no one gets hurt, I'm all for this. I'm going to keep watching these Triller fight cards. And I'm going to have a blast. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I'll speak to you after this weekend. It's over.
I'm gonna go home and break my wife's hip.
Don't brag about taking my side piece. Don't brag about taking my side piece, though.
I broke my back. Back is broken. Spinal.
And she's strong, man. Good boy, you know, just.